You see, the whole thing about stories is they don't add up. They're stories. They're not the truth. They're not history. They're historicity. And you look at historicity and think, oh, things don't add up here. I don't think I know the complete event. Something's not quite. I wonder what the truth of the matter is. But it's incredibly inspiring. Our historicities in some ways are more inspiring than the history. You know, the history might be completely absent, like Aladdin's lamp and so on. You know, I mean, are we talking about anything of history there, really? Well, something about people use lamps for light and new lamps for old, and I mean, yeah, there's a truth going on there, but it's not a physical, factual, historical event account, is it? It's a story. But stories are given, well, they're a double thing, aren't they? They're something that keeps the kiddie's mind and can handle and triggers in them an imagination. And we hope a good imagination, not something that gives them nightmares and fears. we don't want Edgar Allan Poe's, guide to frightening yourself to death. Sorry, I've got my mum in the back of my mind. I did tell you, didn't I, that when she retired, she thought she'd do something good for society, so she had a program at the hospital for patients who were convalescing to listen to horror stories. I'm not kidding. They were specifically known to be horror stories, because some people, believe it or not, love horror stories if they know it's an X film, something that children shouldn't watch, because it's absolutely horrific and, got terrible things in it. They pay money and go along and watch this film. Well, they used to. I don't know if they still do. Do we have X films? I suppose we do. I've not thought about that. I don't go to the cinema. I haven't been for years and years, decades really. Perhaps once in a decade, because my current child wants to go to the movies. And I suppose there's the dad taking to the movies. Yeah, I'm not a great follower, as you can see, of Hollywood. But don't get me wrong, I'm sure Hollywood has its place, but it's all part of the world system as far as I see. I'm not dismissing it, though. God allows the world system because in its sense, in a way, it blesses us. It's part of our coming to know God as Dad and valuing God as Dad above all things, which is our very foundation of life eternal. Yeah. Should I return to John 17? Where was I? Somewhere around, I think verse 18, wasn't it? Ah, yes, well. Look at that. 19, where was it? 19. For their sakes I sanctify myself, that they also might be sanctified through the truth. So he goes through this demonstration, and I think, you could say I'm obsessed with the problem of the cross, but in the story. But 19 is an incredible spiritual number, like 17. And it says something about the whole purpose of this prayer. I sanctify myself. I give this story of being crucified, that they might be sanctified too through the truth. that knowing you is everything compared to living in a world where you think God has forsaken it. How can there be these terrible evils? The contrast is such that verse 20 becomes real, even for those in the world. You see, he's here trying to overcome that barrier between us that know thee and the world that doesn't. And so he's praying in verse 20, neither pray I for these alone, in other words, us, my disciples, followers, but for them also which shall believe on me through their word. That's why I'm praying this. You see, verse 20, neither pray I for these alone, but for them which shall believe on me. It's for the world, those that you're sent to. You are actually sent to those that at present don't have ears to hear. But in some sense, because of this story, may now want God to exist and have ears to hear. They're in that Netherland, aren't they? And we're there too. He's sown the seed of imagination in the story, and we go forth to reap the harvest. The story quickens. Even the world flirts with the idea, well, if there were a God, wouldn't he be so-and-so? Of course I would like God to exist, but it's a fairy story, isn't it? And we go forth into this, and it's dangerous because the world can tear you to pieces if you're not protected by knowing the truth, sanctified, by knowing in your very being that God is your dad. That's what keeps you protected. Amazing, isn't it? You're facing a difficulty in living. Your protection is not particularly in solving the problem. Your protection is reminding yourself, God is all-powerful and loves me, loves us. He's doing this for good purpose. What's the good purpose, Father? What are you at here? I know you love me. Do you see? You're coming to every problem quite differently to the world that's despairing. You're not actually laying on the cross saying, I should say against hanging on the cross, shouldn't I? But still, saying, why have you forsaken me? I know you haven't, Dad. You're my dad. See, you have life eternal. It's a relationship that's in your being, and you reflect upon it. So I pray for these, not just these alone, my disciples, but for them which shall believe. We're in a transition. This is the extraordinary thing about creation. It creates from not knowing God to knowing God, from not being life to being life, to suffering to joy, from not knowing to knowing, to living in a reality that seems to be transitory, into realizing you're in an eternal. That's why I pray this, that they may come in that way, be quickened into life eternal. And that's why you're sent. that they all may be one. These two, not just my believers and me and you, as thou, Father, art in me and I in thee, that they also may be one in us. I'm in verse 21. That the world may believe that thou hast sent me. And remember, believing that God sent Jesus in the story, which in the story clearly he did. That's what the story is. Quickens us to be one in him and Jesus and his disciples. We're part of it. We're part of the family of God, and that's what this prayer is for. Specifically us. Verse 20, neither pray I for these alone, but for them also which shall believe on me through their word. And that's the disciples' word, which is what John 17 is meant to be in the story, isn't it? This is meant to be the disciple telling you what Jesus prayed. How on earth he would know what Jesus prayed? Except he was there and recorded it. Had his phone on record at the time. He didn't, did he? And are we supposing someone was there with pen and paper? No way. Are we supposing even if someone was there, they could remember it? Oh, be reasonable. In this sort of detail, I don't think so. Especially if there's someone trying to recall it, 30 years later, clearly. It would have to be a miracle. Yeah, that's right. Miracles. That's fairy stories. We're in a story here. We know it. But it quickens us because we flirt with the idea of seeing God as our heavenly dad. And if we put that imagination into practice, we find we are incredibly blessed. That is our proof that this is the way to go. Much, much better than not doing so. So we do. And we become part of the family in our consciousness, in our reality. Remember, consciousness, what we're thinking, is the reality that we're coping with. It's not out there in the world. The world's changing all the time. It's what we are making of it that matters to us. And, frightens us to death or gives us falling in love and life eternal. And the glory, oh my goodness, good report, which thou gavest me, you glorified me, I've glorified them. I've said they're my followers. They give you an idea of what I'm like. They believe God to be dad. Oh, they're completely cookery. You say, yes, but I know it seems like that to you. But isn't that a better, happier state than what you have? This terrible depression of there being no God, or a God that's frightening and judgmental. That's pretty grim too, isn't it? Doesn't sound like a good substitute, if you know what I mean. I in them, verse 23. Jesus in us. Not just his disciples, but in those that believe, because of what they hear from the disciples in things like this prayer. I in them. The thought of me, what constitutes me in the story. And thou, heavenly dad, in me, that they may be made complete, perfect in one. Now we've got a oneness, yes. This is not one with the fallen world, poor souls, except our heart goes out to them to rescue. And that the world may know, there you are, you see, there's the rescue. And I'm praying this and saying this and so on, and asking for this, that the world may know that thou hast sent me. And you say, well, hang on, if God's all-powerful and all-knowing, why is Jesus bothering to pray it? That his joy may be full in you. It's part of God's way of making it so. this prayer is specifically that Jesus' joy may be made complete in you. Oh, that was earlier in the prayer. I'm not going back to it now. You can hunt it out if you want. May know that thou hast sent me in verse 23. And that was it. That was the key, wasn't it? If I know that Jesus is sent by God, then in some sense he's been entrusted in the story with the truth that sets you free. If the Son shall set you free, you will be free indeed. Father, verse 24, get the relationship right. Ever you see in your mind, in all your thinking, you keep coming back to Father. And in this case, I will that they also, in other words, I'm still praying. Oh dear, this is a shopping list. Whom thou hast given me as my disciples, followers, all of them, be with me where I am. This is his promise, you see. He's putting the promise in the form of a request to the Father, and you're convinced that there's no way God's going to say no to this, because he's Jesus and he's asking. I mean, you have such a good report of Jesus, you can't believe God's going to say no to a request. Should he be misguided enough to feel that he needs to make the request? And of course he's not misguided, because the fact that you know he's prayed for you seals the possibility again in your mind. I will that they also whom thou hast given me, Father, be with me where I am. He's praying that you be in paradise, heaven, the family, the communion, eternally with God, the Father, and all the saints of heaven. I mean, this is a bit of... what's that translation of the Bible that's... I mockingly call it the multiplied version, but it's called the Amplified. That's right. It's a lovely discourse on the Bible, just amplifying tentatively, but recklessly in some ways as well. It does help you to realize that this Bible, this story, even this prayer is not meant to be confinement. This is the only truth. It simply seeds the freedom of you to speak such truth in unlimited abundance, eternally. I've lost my way. Where are we? That they may behold my glory, which is infinite, you see, given by God to his children. That they, that's us, be part of him forever. A true oneness, a wonderful fellowship, family, communion of saints and beings, as magnificent as God, and well able to at last make the perfect society. You know, my philosophy group, they're going to discuss next Thursday on, what will make the world right and why can't we pull it off? Well, because the world's not meant to be right, it's meant to be a mix of good and evil, that you might become right. You put the cart before the horse, you see. If you were right, the world would be, if all the individuals were right, the world would be automatically right. It's that they're not, they're children, and they're ganging up against each other in the playground, and there's going to be mayhem out there if I don't blow the whistle and distract them and get them back to doing some maths and English. That they may behold my glory, which thou hast given me, for thou lovest me before the foundation of the world. Do you realize that's for you too? He's not being elitist in this. He's a son of God, so are you. Child of God. He loves you before the foundation of the world. That's why he's doing all this for you. That's why he's created this universe, this school, to rescue you into the fullness of adult life, the wonders of heaven, the glory of God, our Dad. Verse 25, O righteous Father, my goodness, that's meant to be an understatement, I can tell you. The world's not known thee, but I've known thee, and these have known that thou hast sent me. Now get this, the last and final word that's meant to stay in your mind. Verse 26, just look at it, it's for us. I have declared unto them thy name, Abba, Father, Dad, and will declare it, that the love, and will declare it. It's going to declare it through us, isn't he? And that the love wherewith thou hast loved me, Father, you see, what we mean by Father, may be in them, us, and those that believe, and I in them. Why the I in them? It's very hard not to love the messenger, isn't it? Don't worship the messenger, we worship God. But we're so happy to have Jesus with us. Is that what that means? What do you think? Thinking's everything, love. What you're thinking, remind yourself. God is your heavenly Dad. Thank you, Dad.